Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. This is day 3 of building a travel agency from scratch, and I just want to kind of talk with you guys today and catch you up on some of the things that I've been working on. Let me get a sip of my coffee. So I'm trying this new routine where I wake up at like 4:30 in the morning. So I'm pretty tired. This is my second cup of coffee. And then I'm also doing 2-a-days. So when I first wake up in the morning, I do a cardio workout, and then this evening I'm still gonna go back to the gym and then do my weightlifting, and I'm trying to do that for 2 weeks, so we'll see how well I stick with that. But anyway, on another note, we're going to talk about what I've worked on so far. So this is day 3 of building a travel agency from scratch. A lot of you guys have been commenting saying that this is really helpful and that you're glad that I'm doing this. So something else that I also did was I created a guide, kind of like a workbook almost, of the 90-day plan, right? So everything that I'm going to cover building out this agency from scratch. And you guys can get that. I'll leave the link below. I have it priced at $37. So if you feel like this channel is helpful, if you get value from my content, then that's a way to support the channel also. And then it's also going to allow you to see what we're going to be working on as the days and the weeks go by. And then also, if you want, like maybe you're ahead of where we are right now, right? Then you'll be able to see some other things that you could start working on your own, if that's what you want to do. And it has like a workbook section on it and things like that. So if you're interested in that, you can get the plan, and I'll leave the link in the description below. Now, to catch you guys up kind of on what I've covered so far. Now, this might seem like I've covered a lot, but I really haven't, okay? Because as you know, I am juggling a few different businesses. So these days aren't like, I'm not uploading them day by day. The day that I work on the business is what I consider this to be day 3, right? So what I'm going over with you now is what I'm considering to be day 3. Now, some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, I already had set up, right? And I think I mentioned this in my previous video that I did. It's a little warm in here. I might have to go turn my heater off in a minute. But I might have mentioned this in my other videos, is some of these things I had already had in place, right? Like my business filings, I already had that. So I already had an LLC. All I really did was needed to add a DBA to that LLC for the new business that I'm working on. But in you guys' case, if you don't have your business registered, then you would need to do that. Now, I'm not going to tell you what structure that you should have, whether that be LLC, whether that be a sole proprietorship, whatever the case may be. I would, seek legal advice for that, so that you are setting up your business that's most efficient for you and that you're on the right track, right? So you want to make sure that whatever business structure you decide to go with aligns with your business, your taxes, all of those things, okay? So you want to make sure that your business is filed and registered with whatever state you're in. What else did I do? I came up with the business name. I think I told you guys that already. I settled on Elysian St. Lucia. I don't know if I mentioned this in the other video, but we are focusing on St. Lucia. And when I say we, I mean, me. Y'all focus on whatever your business focus on. But my niche is I'm going to focus on St. Lucia. So I have my business name. Another thing I did, and mind you, I did all this in the same day. So it might sound like a lot, but it's really not, because like I said, as far as the DBA goes, all I had to do was, get the form, send off the paperwork and the money order and all that stuff, and then mail it to the state of Texas, right? That was simple. Might have took me 20 minutes, driving to the post office and that type of thing. And then, but I will tell you, if you're like completely brand new to business, if you need help setting up your LLC, there's companies out there like LegalZoom. There was another one I used back in the day, and I cannot think of the name. But I guess I really should recommend them anyway, because my sister just said she just got some type of settlement check from them, so we won't even recommend them. But the one that is, I would recommend is LegalZoom. Now they are going to charge you for filing your business name and doing all the filings for you. It is something that you don't necessarily need a third party to do. But if you have no idea what you're doing, then I would recommend just going through one of those companies or a lawyer so that it's set up properly, right? And then something else, since it's all in the same category, is I already had an EIN anyway, just from, like I said, I've had my LLC now for a while. So I already have my EIN, but if I didn't have one, if you guys are going to have employees and you're going to hire like independent contractors to work in your business, those type of things, then you would need an EIN as well for tax purposes. So make sure you look into that if you don't have that already. Something else that I did, let me just go in line so I don't miss anything. Something else I did was I set up my, excuse me, I set up my bank account. And I'm not going to edit these videos too heavily. So, you know, sorry if I cough or something like that. In order for me to be as consistent as possible and to make this an authentic experience as far as setting up the agency, I'm not going to be doing a lot of editing to the videos. Even when I like show you my screen and I'm working through how I set up certain things, all that stuff is just going to be, you know, how it is, real life, real situations. But anyway, talking about the bank account, I did go ahead and get that set up because I want everything to be separate, especially for this business. And then how I'm going to operate this travel business, we are going to be in charge of a lot of the funds and things like that. So I don't want any of those kind of things getting confused when it comes to client payments and, you know, client funds, all those kind of things. Now, who I went with and who I recommend is Relay, and their online banking platform. And they're like connected with a real bank, but not that they're not a real bank, but they're basically like endorsed by another bank. And Relay, the reason I like them, now I used to have Novo, so that's a really good one too. Actually I had Novo and I still have Novo. I had that for years. I think right around the time that I started my first travel business, and then maybe even before on some of my other businesses. But I've had Novo for years and I really, really do love Novo. The only reason, and I would still be on Novo if I'm saying that right. I'm pretty sure it's Novo. It's Novo. I would still have them if they had the capabilities to do the same thing that Relay does. So that is the only reason that over the year or so, probably like a year and a half or so, I've been leaning more towards using Relay for my businesses just because of the capability. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the book Profit First. If you're not, then it is a book that I recommend. As you know, I do love reading books. I tell you all the time, if you can't afford mentors, if you can't afford, to get around those people who are having those $10,000 masterminds and all those kind of things, all you have to do is go find some books. Because most of the time these people have books available. So just go find the book. But anyway, Profit First kind of tells you how to run your finances, right? How to cash flow your business. And one of the concepts in Profit First is to have multiple bank accounts. I think it's like 7. And I won't go into full detail right now about every single bank account that you need and how to operate that. But that would be a good video for you guys to have. So that would be a video that I would need to make just for the banking and accounting part of your business and how to set up Profit First inside of your travel business. But anyway, I use Relay because it allows you to have multiple accounts within one account, basically, right? So just to give you a quick example, you could have, I can't even remember up to how many accounts you could have, but you could have quite a few, like more than the amount you actually need. But let's just say you had a expense account, right? And then you had a payroll account, and then maybe you had your taxes account, and then like your marketing account. You could have multiple accounts within your overall banking system, and then they would all have their own debit cards, right? And their own account numbers. So the funds aren't getting, mixed and mingled. And then you could clearly see how your business is doing financially, right? So you'd be able to see how much you had in payroll account and the expenses account, all of those things. So that's why I really like Relay. So I did go ahead and set that up too. And then what else did I do? So talking about accreditation. Now, I don't have a host, but this is where you guys would decide if you're going to have a host agency or not, right? Now, how I operate my business is, these are just my I'm just telling you what I do. But I would say, if I was to give you some advice, I would say if you were brand new, if you were not going to take any type of travel agent trainings, like I know there are a few programs out there, that will teach you how to be a travel agent. I know there's a few out there. So if you were not going to do anything like that right off the gate, then I would say go with the host first, right? Because at least you have some type of support system. At least you have some form of trainings that you'll have access to, right? They're not going to one-on-one train you walk your hand through that. You're still going to have to do all the trainings on your own and really research and find solutions on your own. But you won't have to worry about having your own credentials and all those kind of things. And you could just use the host agencies, right, to book the travel. Now, something that I did is I got my True accreditation. And then even with True, not every hotel accepts the True accreditation. Okay. So when I chose to go with the True platform, I made sure to research that they were accepted to the resorts and the hotels and the brands that I wanted to use in my business. Okay. Now, how I'm moving now, like I said, we're focusing on St. Lucia, and then I'm focusing on just one part of the demographic. Sorry guys, I just got a long text message making sure. Okay. So now what I'm doing, I'm focusing on a very, very niched aspect of St. Lucia as well. So the access that I'll be using and some of the things that I'll be using will be things like VAX. I've used them since I started being a travel agent. That's just the platform I prefer. But there's also Vacation Express. A lot of people use those as well. And then some other tools that I probably won't be using, but I'm sure you guys are familiar with. But if you're not, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, are things like Travel Joy. I used to use that a lot in the beginning of my business. I'm more so managing my own CRM now, just because it's just an expense I don't need right now, you know. With Travel Joy, I just don't need it. And then also how I'm going to be operating my business, because it's so niche down. There's only so many resorts anyway in this destination that fits my demographic and my niche anyway. So my proposals and things, I won't need to continuously recreate those and those itineraries. A lot of that stuff is just going to be already made and then used as a template, so that we could just drop the resort per the client, right? So whichever ones fit them on their proposal, we'll be able to just use a Canva template that I'll create in order to deliver that to the client, right? But if you're servicing multiple destinations, if you're doing cruises, you're doing hotels, you're doing all the things, you might need something like Travel Joy to make the proposal part of your business a lot quicker and a lot more streamlined. So you got to decide what's best for you and your business. I'm trying to think about what other tools. Oh, let me just tell you all the tools I signed up for. How about that? So I like to run as far as like task management and project management, I like to use Travel Joy I like to use Trello, a lot of T's, Trello in my business in order to stay organized. And so I'll get into that once I really start setting up my Trello boards and things like that. But I did go ahead and make sure I have my Trello board set up. And so something that I did within Trello is that I made sure that I had all of my logins. So when you're using multiple systems like VAX and Travel Joy and your CRMs and all these things, there's no way for me to remember all the passwords that I have. So I like to use one of my boards as basically like a password safe place, if you will, so that if I ever need it, I can go and know what my login information is for each platform that I use within my business. So I did go ahead and set that up. And then the website, which we're not getting into website today because I haven't actually designed the website yet. And I probably will show you me designing it. That video is probably just going to be really slow because when I'm designing, I mean, you're really just playing around with stuff and, you're thinking it out and you're just kind of, playing around with the screen until it looks good. So I don't know if that would be interesting to you guys because it would probably be a boring video. But I haven't done that yet. But what I did do is go ahead and sign up for my host domain, and then I went ahead and got my my website address and all those things, my domain name, and I use Squarespace. So I always talk about how I use Wix, even for my coaching business. So the part of my business where you guys can get actual training from me and things like that, like if you join my lead magnet webinar, all of that part of my business is ran through Wix. Because it's a different type of business, right? It's a different style of business. Now, if you're going to be selling to, more of a mass market, if you will, I really love Wix, right? I think Wix is a great option, even for travel agents. And the only reason I went with Squarespace is just because I'm trying to keep, the cost as lean as possible starting out, right? Because we haven't made money in this business yet. It's a brand new business. So Squarespace is more affordable, but it doesn't have the capabilities of Wix, right? I could see that right off the bat. But because I know how I'm operating this business, because I know how niche my business is, I'm not going to be sending out the type of email campaigns that I send out on Wix, right? My people just aren't interested in those kind of emails. So it's a lot more personalized. It's a lot more intimate than that. So that's why I chose. That's why I was okay to go with Squarespace. So that's the platform I'm going to be using for the travel agency. But I do recommend Wix if you're a travel agent. And obviously, I mean, I don't know, your niche may be as niche as mine, but I doubt it. So if you're not going that route to where you are super, super niched down, then think about who your clientele is, right? As you guys know, I am going for a more upscale, high-end customer. So I don't need the capabilities of Wix right now. Even with the forms that Wix offers, all those kind of things, I love that everything is inside of Wix. But because I know how to use things like JotForm, I did go ahead and set that up too. Our account on JotForms. Then I just don't need Wix right now for this part of the business, right? But we might as the business grows, and we'll see. Okay, and then what else did I do? Is there any other tools that I set up that I need to tell you guys? I did go ahead and I did get the email, right? So I got my business email, and I went through Google because that's just who I normally go through. So I got my business email. So you know how it's usually info@yourbusinessname.com, right? Or whatever you want to put. I got that done. And then I also got my business line. So what I did is I got my 800 number through, it used to be called Smartline, and it's ran by GoDaddy, but now it's called Conversations, if I'm not mistaken. And it's really an app. It's really just an app on the phone. Because like I said, I'm trying to keep expenses down. So I didn't want to go get a separate phone and phone line and all those things. I could use this line right on my personal cell. And all the calls will come through this app. I'll be able to tell that it's a business call. It'll tell me that. I can text on it. I can do everything I need to do. So I did go ahead and set that up. I should have showed you guys pricings. I wish I would have wrote that down for you. But everything was pretty affordable. Like Squarespace was somewhere around $20-something. I think I don't even know what the correct term is for whatever it is when you have one of these lines. But I want to say that one might have been like $14, maybe less. I really don't remember. And then JotForms, right now I have the free version just because we really haven't got into anything. But I think it's around $25 or something like that as well. What else did I sign up for? I already paid for Trello. I've had it for years. And I don't even know how much I paid for it, honestly. Maybe $15. I don't know. Because I've had it for like ever. But yeah, so like I said, I'm trying to keep the expenses down as much as possible. So moving on, what else have I done? Another thing I did, my light went off. Hopefully y'all can still see me. Another thing I did was sign up for my liability insurance. So if you go under a host agency, so even if you're working under a host now, a lot of times they do already have errors and omissions insurance, but of course I don't have a host, so I would need my own coverage, my own policy, especially because I am looking to bring on, like I believe my first hire is going to be an independent contractor, and it's probably going to be my mom who I kind of bring on to the business, as long as that works out. So I do have errors and omissions. Now I won't recommend a company just because I feel like you should do your research and decide which company is best for you and your business and what you're going to be working on in your business, and just like what your own, things that you would need covered, right? Your own liabilities and things like that, what's important in your business. But as I was saying, most host agencies do have some type of coverage. I never had to use it when I was with my host. I wasn't with him very long, but I did hear certain stories where you got to think, like, if you're with a really big host agency, ones that's been around for 40 years plus, you have to think about how many agents they have on their team. And then if they have like $1 million policy or something like that, and it's for a year, how many errors have occurred during that year? How many times have that policy had to pay out? Because there's a limit, right? And so you don't want to run into the situation to where you make a mistake and, maybe it's closer to the end of the year, whatever the case may be, I don't know. And the policy is already paid out, right? So there's no more available funds to cover your mistake, then you would be on the hook. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to name any, but there are insurance companies out there that will give you, the professional liability insurance. You just want to make sure that you're reading those policies and make sure that you are covered for the things that you need covered for in your business. Because if you get a policy and you don't even know what you're covered for, and then something happens and you're not covered for it, then what are you paying monthly for, right? So these are things that you need to do your due diligence on and make sure that you are covered. Something else I did is I went ahead and created my logo. I told you about the business email already. When it comes to my logo, I pretty much always create my own logo, just because, like I said, I'm trying to keep the startup cost as lean as possible. And so what I like to do, I don't know how tech savvy you guys are, but you can make your logo as simple as just words, like as just your name of the business, right? You don't have to be too fancy. And even for me, like what I like to do and what I'll tell you to do is I want you to think about who your ideal client is. What type of things do they like? Remember a lot of times when I talk about your ideal client, I talk about you need to know like what kind of stores do they like to shop at? What kind of things do they like? What other industries do they spend their money on and in, so that you know what type of brand they're attracted to, right? For me, for instance, I don't like bright and flashy brands. Like when I go into the store and I'm going to buy something, let's just say if I'm trying to think of something that I wouldn't really read into, like the ingredients and things. Let's just say it was a pillow, for instance, or I guess because I can't think of anything else. Because I know with food, I'm very particular. Like I like to read the ingredients. So that's how I would decide that. But okay, let me just give it to you like this. If I was in there and I was buying some salsa or something, and all 3 options had really good ingredients, everything was organic and ethnically sourced and all those things, and so there was no issues there. And if the only thing I was comparing them out of, or if I needed to decide which one to grab, I'm gonna go with the one that has the most the simplified branding, the one that is most easily read, where the logo is not like, something funky and, very artistic. That's just not what I'm drawn to, right? Even in my wardrobe, I wear a lot of blacks, a lot of grays, a lot of neutral colors. So I'm drawn to that type of branding. So you need to know who your ideal client is, so that you are making sure that your brand is always speaking to them. If that makes sense. Like, it seems like it's not a big deal, but it really is when you think about the big scale of marketing and all of that. So that being said, I did tell you guys I am targeting a very high-end client. So what I typically do, no matter what type of business I'm starting, is I go and find other people in the industry, or even other people in other industries who has the same type of ideal client as me, right? So what I did when I went to go make this logo is that I thought about, okay, well, what kind of brands do my ideal client likes? Okay, I would say that they are, they like nicer things, right? So they might be into the brands like Aloe, or I looked at the Rolls. I can't even talk today. The Rolls-Royce website. I looked at Mercedes-Benz website. I looked at just different luxury brands. And what I took from, my research and for my audience, remember you got to do your own research for your own audience, is that the branding is very simple, right? It's either black and white, or if it has color, it's very minimal, right? But a lot of times it's more on a black and white scale for those brands. And then the logo is very simple, right? So it's not like, a lot of graphics and all of those type of things. It's usually either letters or a word or something like that. It's very simple. So that's what I went with for my logo, as I created something very simple. And so what I would say, if you don't want to pay somebody and you feel like you can come up with something that looks presentable, like it doesn't have to, you know, look like it's, you know, you don't need to go out and spend $5,000 on a logo, okay? You can go on Canva. Canva even has the AI generated logos now. And so what I do is that a lot of times I'll go onto Canva and I'll look at some of the logo suggestions that they have, and then I would just kind of tweak them, right? So just because I know a little bit about Photoshop and, you know, I could use Adobe, what I like to do is I'll go and get the elements out of Canva, because I don't know how to create them from scratch inside of Adobe. Like, I'm not that advanced at all. So I like to go and get the individual elements out from Canva, right? And so I leave the background transparent, and then I put it into Photoshop, and then I make my changes, right? So because I know how to erase things from the logo and different things like that, and kind of change it to where it fits what I'm looking for. But I use Canva as inspiration, right? And then as a tool. So that being said, the other thing that I did, and this is the last thing that I did, was I came up with my tagline. I talked about, like, I thought about what my brand, what we wanted to portray, right? What was going to be our theme. And if you don't know, like I said, I went with the name Elysian St. Lucia. Elysian basically means like a heavenly experience, right? Or a heavenly paradise, something like that. So the tagline, where's my tagline? Because I haven't memorized it yet. This is a new business. The tagline that I went with, and we might have more than one, but you know, this is part of branding, right? So this is what we want people to think about, and you want your brand to tie in, right? So our tagline is crafting your heavenly escape. And so these are things that like live on our website. Might be the part of our signature in our emails, you know, maybe when we send out a holiday card, those type of things. So yeah, I did go ahead and come up with the tagline as well. And that's all I've done so far for day 3. Okay. And then in day 4, let me give y'all a hint to what we're working on. Oh, well, duh. In day 4, I'm going to be working on building the website, because there's a lot to be done, but I feel like I can't move forward until I have my website up. So now that I kind of have the bones of the business together, as far as the business structure, the logo, the name, we have our email, our phone number, all of that information, and we know where we kind of want our branding to go. Now I can start working on the actual website. So that's going to be in day 4. Okay. And then if you, like I said, if you wanted the 90-day guide, that's going to walk you through kind of what we're doing through these 90 days. And it has, you know, guided questions to help you come up with your own information for your business, right? So that your own branding, your own taglines, those kind of things. It has guided questions in it so that it could help you think through that process as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, of course, that's going to be below in the description. And if you guys have any questions, give me some feedback. Tell me what you're thinking in the comments. I do really enjoy seeing you guys' comments saying that this is helpful. So that's why I keep doing it, right? So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.